Hey, you want to know a secret? I love role-playing games. Don't tell anybody. One of my favorites is Legend of the Five Rings, and they're coming out with a new book. This book right here, it's Children of the Five Winds. And I did a breakdown of that book if you want to check it out. And I think by and large, this is a good book. But there's one rule in it, one technique I think that'll break a lot of people's games. Let me break it down. Hello and welcome to the Dead Unicorn, the tabletop role-playing game club. My name is Corey, and if you're a fan of the channel, you'll know I am very critical of social rules. I think most are hot garbage, and today, I think I found an especially stinky nugget, a technique from Children of the Five Winds called Cunning Omission. First, let's catch you up on some L5R rules so you can understand things a bit. In L5R, you have these funky dice, and they have different symbols on it that mean success, opportunity, and strife. You need successes to succeed on a roll. Any roll means a number of successes equal to a target number, or TN, to succeed. You don't usually need opportunity, but they can give you extra stuff for your roll. It's like a yes and mechanic. Strife are stress points found on some sides of the dice. Sometimes you need to take strife to make sure your roll is successful. You can also get strife from other sources, like disadvantages or other people's techniques that they apply to you. If you take more strife than composure, your character becomes compromised, which is basically your character filled with anxiety, so they're not able to do things as well. This is the penalty until that character can either reduce their strife to their composure or below, or unmask, which is a public display of cringe that can hurt their reputation or honor. So that's the basics you'll need to understand this technique, Cunning Omission. Cunning Omission is a shuji, which is a social rule that can be used on its own or within a social conflict known as an intrigue. It's rank 3, which means it's available to most mid-tier characters. A rank 3 character is kind of like a level 8 to 10 character in Dungeons & Dragons. But what does it do? Well, Cunning Omission forces the target to reveal something they were concealing. Not physically, well, that too, but any secrets they may have. That's right, ladies and gents. This technique can be used to insta-kill any murder mystery or secret society or hidden cult plot. If you're a narrator and you want to make an investigation story with a series of clues that can be used to catch a person in a lie when they give testimony like Phoenix Wright. Objection! Well, this technique says all your work you made on your game to make a cool, interesting plot is useless because a single roll can bypass all of your plot. An instant shortcut that leads the PCs right to the end. Now, you might think I'm exaggerating here, so let's take this technique apart and go through it step by step. See how it interacts with other parts of the game to make sure this is what it means. It is said by some courtiers that the easiest way to get someone to admit something is not through blackmail or coercion, but simply by explaining the situation to them incorrectly and letting their impulse to set the record straight fill in the details. By leaving out a key element in the story or account, a courtier attempts to draw their opponent into providing it themselves, thus undermining their own argument or offering up the testimony needed to prove the initial courtier's point. Now, this is the flavor text of this technique. Basically, it says the performing character baits another character, their target, into revealing themselves by appealing to their ego. Tetsuo could never have killed that man. He's too much of a dullard to have pulled that off. Hey! I am too smart enough. He dead, ain't he? By this description, you might think to use the tech, you must already have suspicion of exactly what's being hidden in order to bait it out. And if this is how the technique is supposed to work mechanically, well, I'd say there's little wrong with it. But let's check the mechanics. Activation. As a scheme action, you may make a sentiment air check targeting another character. The TN target number of this check is equal to your target's focus minus their current strife to a minimum of 1. That might be a bit much for those that don't know Legend of the Five Rings very well, so let me break it down. A scheme action is a type of check that is mostly associated with social chats. It's nothing but a keyword. Don't worry about that. Sentiment is a skill that is used for sizing up another character's emotional state, and air is an attribute, like intelligence or strength. L5R uses elements instead of normal stats. Air here is how good a character is at trickery. Focus is a substat that is used mostly in initiative, but it can pop up in other places, especially techniques here and there. Strife, as I said earlier, is a character's stress level. It can be given to a character through them doing tasks or through roleplay or given through techniques. All sorts of stuff can give you strife. This means if you give a target a few strife with a technique or clever use of skill before using Cunning Omission, you can almost guarantee success in the skill. This may involve a bit of setup, but well-crafted characters at rank 3 have a few ways to give others strife. Not to mention that other characters in your group can coordinate their abilities with you to target that one opponent. The effect. If you succeed, your target slips up and admits something that they were concealing from you. If your target was not concealing anything from you, you know this fact with certainty. So here it is. By succeeding in Cunning Omission, the target gives up a secret. Not a secret that you know or even suspect, but a secret. Any secret. Even if you were previously unaware there were secrets in the first place. You can just walk up to someone cold, use Cunning Omission, and get a secret from them. Now, this may not be a problem if you're in the Shadowlands doing an Oni Stomp game. It might be fun or even funny to make a shape changer reveal themselves through this technique, or make a goblin give up his hidden stash of Koku. In these types of scenarios, in a more dungeon crawly D&D type scenario, this technique seems okay and balanced. But L5R isn't just fighting. It's intrigue, it's romance, it's cunning plots in courtrooms, and outmaneuvering an opponent on the battlefield. In many instances, this technique is a shortcut that can skip most of the plot and jump a character right to the end. In the official adventure, Sin of Regret, Act 3 hinges on an investigation of a spiritual imbalance that is plaguing a nearby town. A character with Cunning Omission only needs to use this technique on a few individuals to get right to the end and skip a bunch of the neat investigations that they can do, like finding a dead body in a well guarded by a ghost. But who cares about that when you have Cunning Omission? Now you might say, well, I don't see this as a problem because as a narrator, I'll just be very vague with the secrets that I give out. Or I'll just say that it tells you the character is hiding something, but not what. And here, yeah, I kind of agree. I do think this rule needs to be changed. And maybe making the answers vague or just giving a yes or no might be the way to go. But those are proposed changes, not interpretations, because it's very clear in the text that the target reveals something. And that makes a vague inference. If I was a player and the GM gave me some vague crap, I'd cry foul because I spent my hard-earned XP on this tech that should work a certain way. And now this feels like a rug pull. So if this is your plan as a narrator, make sure when a player wants to buy this technique or even before the game starts, tell them or make a document of things that are changed or that you have a specific interpretation on. So a player doesn't feel like they're spending their XP on one thing and they're getting something completely different. It's only fair. But hey, we're great narrators. We're pretty clever. It says that they have to reveal something hidden, but not what. So just start making up another hidden thing to cover for the really big thing. I mean, this sounds great at first, but there are a few problems now. If you start messing with someone's tech, you could set yourself up as adversarial to the PCs instead of being a fair arbiter of rules. A narrator constantly looking for a way to undermine your player's tech can be a slippery slope. But also, and more to the point, you'll realize there's nothing stopping a PC from using the tech multiple times in a row against the same character. Well, they may get a little too much strife if they get some bad rolls, and they may need to stop because of that. But most mid-tier characters have enough tools to help mitigate strife. Now, if I was a Cunning Omission user, I'd use it on a target until I know they're not hiding anything anymore. Maybe I'm just a bad player, but I like to think that I'm using the rules in the best way. So now, as a narrator, you have to contrive something up to get that NPC out of there so there can't be multiple rules. Well, guess what? You just gave up the game with that move. Now the players know something is up and you're protecting that NPC for some reason. They're going to come hard and fast after them and totally ignore any clue hunting in the meantime. Or at least, that's how most of my players would play it. And if you think it's meta for players to use that information, then you as the narrator shouldn't have started it by getting your NPC out of their cunning omission range because you didn't want to give up a plot point. You don't want meta, don't start meta. And of course, there's the fact that this technique can be used against the PCs themselves. That's right, a PC can be made to out themselves with no recourse. The narrator made a roll behind the screen for an NPC, and now your character has to say how they did something wrong or embarrassing. If your gaming group doesn't cry foul to this, yours is much more relaxed than mine. One of my keys to making and knowing a good social role is, if it happens to your PC, how would that make you feel? If it makes you feel like it's unfair, then it's a terrible rule. Go back to the drawing board. While there are some factors that could legitimately limit how this technique is used, like gaining too much strife or ending a scene or conflict, like how intrigue scenes have a set amount of rounds, it doesn't limit this technique enough, in my opinion. It is a big, smelly piece of doo-doo in an otherwise pretty great book. I'm banning this tech. It causes just problems as a narrator, and having my players use it would not be fun for me. I run these games to have fun. I like to make cool puzzles and plots and secrets to be uncovered and see how my players get to the end using their own ingenuity and guile, not by how well they roll a die. I'm sure you all have opinions on this too. And I have to say, I love having this channel to talk about RPGs and have these conversations. I'm always amazed by what you guys show me what I missed. So keep the comments coming. Like, subscribe, all the things. And make sure you make the time with your friends to go roll some dice.